اللهم لك الحمد غنايم.
The situation in Syria is getting worse for Russian army hour by hour. Ukrainian main intelligence directorate reported that Russians are fleeing Syria amid armed unrest in Damascus and a number of Syrian cities. In particular, they abandoned their arsenal of weapons and equipment at one of the military bases. Media reports mention a helicopter, S-125 air defense systems, Russian Smerch MLRS, and Acacia air defense systems. While the forces opposed to the Assad regime are actively advancing to the south of the country, Russian aircraft are using their standard terrorist bombing tactics. Aleppo and Idlib have reportedly already come under attack. Reuters writes that Iran has allegedly joined Assad's efforts and is sending fighters to Syria. But Syrian rebels captured 5 more L-39 Albatros aircraft at Aleppo International Airport. Back to Ukraine, in temporarily occupied Tokmak, a drone attacked a gas station where Russians are refueling military equipment. Several tanks with gasoline and diesel fuel exploded. Recent attacks on Russian fuel depots are dealing a significant blow to the country's military logistics. These strikes disrupt critical supply chains that fuel tanks, trucks, and aircraft, essential for sustaining frontline operations. Without reliable access to fuel, Russian forces face delays in troop movements, resupply missions, and the deployment of heavy equipment, severely hindering their operational capabilities. The attacks also create logistical bottlenecks, forcing Russia to divert resources to secure and rebuild supply infrastructure. This not only strains their already overstretched military, but also exposes vulnerabilities in their supply network. Ukrainian paratroopers captured 11 more Russians in the Kursk region. The prisoners were former prisoners who had signed a contact and were assigned to the 11th Air Assault Brigade of the Russian Army.
They didn't pay someone or something. Didn't allocate money for the bench or whatever it's called. The special police came to us. 60 people. Made everyone lie on the floor and arrested us. After that, they brought me to correctional facility number 4. People arrived at the pre-trial detention center, and the chief said if I didn't sign, I wouldn't make it to the camp. There was an officer there, Nail, right? His name is Rail. Yes, Rail, the officer was called. He would come every day and ask, are you going? Are you not going? To the war. They put me in isolation. I cut myself there, drove a nail into myself. I still have a nail right here in my chest. I cut my hands, cut my veins, everywhere. Well, I didn't want to go, because what's the point of going to fight? Everyone was creating. And then I just gave in and came here. They simply don't give you a choice. You cannot refuse, because either they will extend your sentence or they will simply kill you somewhere. There are special cells where you are taken, and they just beat, kill, rape, and that's it. There's no choice to refuse. No, we weren't taught anything. When could we learn? We were building foxholes, constructing foxholes. As for the guys, maybe among them, the people with me now might at most manage, if anyone has ever shot before. Someone mentioned they went to some range, got 15 rounds to shoot, and that guy was supposed to sight the weapon. Our leader, Kirian, came to us. From what I understood, he has kids. He himself has only been here for about 2 months and hasn't gone anywhere. He showed us a street with houses on his phone. Like, our task was to get into that house, enter that house, and sit in that house, to sit and wait. We all understood to get off the BMP machines, enter the house, and sit in the house. What's unclear here, kind of like securing a position. They explained we just needed to enter, that there's no one there, and just sit there. No one told us there would be a direct confrontation. When we got to the village itself, behind the houses and gardens, explosions and gunfire began right next to us. Something started, someone was shooting. I managed to get off the BMP, and immediately shrapnel hit my arm, stomach, leg, everything. I fell there. The guys who were with me all ran away, got scared. Basically, they ran off. We were just thrown in. Most likely, as the guys said, just to find out where I was.
Kremlin is preparing officials to end the war in Ukraine, reports Kommersant, citing sources. Putin's administration has begun to form an image of victory, which they should convey to the population. It is expected that the future results of the war will represent both a victory, but they are unlikely to satisfy both ultra-patriots and liberals. The Kremlin plans to rely on the calm majority, which they must convince with the achievements of denazification, demilitarization, and the annexation of 4 Ukrainian regions. And protests in Georgia are not stopping. Protesters spent the 4th night on Rustaveli Avenue in Tbilisi. Riot police started dispersing crowd with tear gas early morning at around 7 a.m. and chased demonstrators for 4 kilometers. The pro-Russian government in Georgia is increasingly resorting to brute force to suppress the growing wave of protests against its policies. Demonstrations, sparked by concerns over authoritarian practices and Russian influence, have been met with excessive police violence, including tear gas, water cannons, and mass arrests. This heavy-handed response reflects the government's desperation to silence dissent and maintain control as opposition grows stronger. Reports from the ground highlight instances of arbitrary detentions, beatings, and intimidation of protest leaders and journalists. These actions have only fueled public outrage, drawing more people to the streets and strengthening the unity of progressive forces demanding democratic reforms and a shift toward European integration. The government's tactics mirror authoritarian strategies seen in Moscow, further alienating it from the Georgian public, who overwhelmingly favor independence from Russian influence. However, this attempt to crush protests through fear and repression appears to be backfiring, as citizens continue to defy crackdowns with resilience and determination. The escalating violence is a stark reminder of the government's alignment with autocratic regimes and its unwillingness to heed the democratic aspirations of its people. This confrontation could mark a turning point in Georgia's fight for freedom and sovereignty.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week, it's 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.